Welcome to Ring Talk. Myself, Martin Theobald. Steve will be joining us shortly for monumental episode 100. And there's plenty to chat about this week with forthcoming boxing action that's going to be hitting your screens. Quick look back over the last week. Devin Haney out in America beat Yuriorkis Gamboa over a 12-round points decision. Doesn't do a lot for me. That lightweight division is hot. You've got Tank Davis, you've got Santa Cruz, you've got Lomachenko. Devin Haney needed to make a statement for me. It's not good enough to go out there and just say, he's getting the rounds in. Gamboa's a blown-up featherweight, super featherweight. He was stopped in his last fight. Devin Haney should have done more than that. I think that's quite disappointing, personally, as a result. Luis Ortiz came back with a one-round knockout, which is now being investigated by the State Athletic Commission of California, I think it is, for what looked like a bit of a fall. What else has happened? Eddie Hearn and Joe Gallagher continue to have their ongoing spat, which doesn't look good for the likes of Callum Johnson, who he is kind of left out of the frame of getting fights, which you feel sorry for him for. He's put out a tweet last week saying he'll take anyone from 168 to 175 pounds, which you don't want to see fighters in a position where I don't think I can personally remember Callum Johnson fighting down 168 pounds. I don't want to see him have to drain himself just to make fights because his promoter and his manager have fallen out. It's not a great look for me. Anyway, right, we're going to crack on because there's so much to talk about. And we've got Amar Kayani coming up to chat to us as well. So, Ring Talk, episode 100. Here we go.
Right, we're here. Myself, Martin, Steve. How you doing?
I'm good. Even better with all the news now being confirmed, stuff that we knew about anyway, but it's all come out. So hopefully boxing is coming back a bit sooner now than people were anticipating before.
Yeah, so let's jump the queue on that a little bit because we've got a question. So you're referring to the news that there will be a vaccine. And the fact that hopefully that means that boxing can return at a small hall level. You're talking kind of off camera May, maybe March, but maybe.
I just had a text from Julian, who works for Costas Evangelou. They think they're going to run one in December. So I do think people are going to jump the gun a bit, and that's not happening. So I think in reality, yes, that's you've got to look at timescales and ticket selling and everything else. But it's looking very promising now. Very promising.
Let's jump the gun a little bit because there was a question from Paul Altai about once small hall boxing is allowed to come back, what do you see as the biggest change in how you'll have to approach ticket sales?
Well, you can't. The bottom line is the costs of staging the events are going to be exactly the same as they were pre-COVID. The financial situation, which struggled to break even, is just going to be the same as pre-COVID. So you can't change it. I would hope that, I do believe that people will want to go out and enjoy things a lot more. There's a lot of pent up people wanting to go out. I certainly want to go and do a lot more things once we're back to normal. So there'll be no changes. And yes, there may be some people that can't go, but once the elderly and vulnerable are vaccinated, which I believe will be done by the end of March, then you should basically have a free run to stage. You're going to have the board to relax on it, I presume. I don't know whether they're going to give passports for those that have been vaccinated, whether we'll have to do temperature checks as people come in. But I believe that, we have to be, by the summer, at least be back up to normal. I'm working on May. People may try and get out in March, but I think you'll be over-optimistic in trying to get people to sell tickets for a March show. I think that's going to be, I personally believe that's too soon, and I think people will burn their bridges by going March as it stands at the moment. So I think that's out. But I think May's realistic. You go to September, which I think is certain. So I think September will definitely be perfectly up and running, and May is a good chance of up and running.
Wouldn't do it in the middle because of the Euros.
Yeah, the Euros, well, if anybody wants to promote during the Euros, that's a financial recipe for disaster. That's not for us. But we're planning a weekend of boxing. Where we're going to be doing boxing for a whole weekend. We've got that all booked up. So we've got some exciting time. We've got the dates booked. We're ready to go. We've booked our first date in Plymouth. So we've got a show lined up in Plymouth. So we're exciting times, but we've got concrete dates, but we're not releasing them yet. But we're all ready now. We're all ready to get rocking and rolling. And I'm quite confident that we will be able to get back. But again, I think people will rush. They'll go too quick and burn their fingers. But that's not our problem. We've been pretty much right from day dot on when it's going to come back. But I do think people try and jump the gun, especially with December that's just crazy. You're just going to have shows cancelled and boxers pull out. I mean, most boxers haven't even got their medicals sorted at the moment, let alone be looking to box on a show in December. And expect to sell tickets in the next month while we're in lockdown. That doesn't seem logical.
Yeah. And when you say a full weekend, you're going to do Saturday and Sunday on those weekends?
And possibly 3 hits. Possibly we could do a Sunday afternoon show and a Sunday evening show, potentially.
Yeah.
And possibly a Saturday afternoon and a Saturday evening show. Anything's possible. We've got it all booked up, so lots to think of. But we're going to be. We said when we come back, all our boxers will get out, and we will be able to start with a bang. And we've got other things planned as well as that. So there's a lot to look forward to. But I believe that all things being well, that will be up and running in the summer. Hopefully May. I wouldn't be 100% sure it will be May, but fairly confident that it will be May.
And it might have to be a little bit creative about how you do it.
Correct.
And that kind of hits on Philip McDonald on Facebook, said, any light coming through yet? Nearly a full year. So, yeah, there's your light, hopefully.
But I always said it was going to be a full year, didn't I? I always said a minimum of a year we're going to be out. And people thought I was mad. I know what I'm talking about. And, we know what we're doing. We know what we're doing coming back, and we know what we're going to do, and we know we're going to make it. We're going to make it bigger and better than ever when it comes back. Yeah.
And the other side of your business, the stock markets have started to rise again, and presumably happier people that side of the world.
Well, mine a bit. This is really strange, mine. Before this rose in the last week, my clients have all made money in the last year. My clients are all up. Now, the reason I've been so busy on that side is. Like Trevor, our friend Trevor, was playing golf, and he was playing golf, and this guy was saying to him, "Oh, I've lost 30% of my money in the last year. My money's all gone down." And Trevor's playing golf with him, thinking, "What are you talking about? I'm making money." So Trevor said to him, "What are you talking about? I'm making loads of money." They then played another round of golf the next week, and the bloke said, "Are you sure?" And Trevor said, "Well, here's my stuff." And then the next thing, I got a phone call from this guy who's got quite a substantial part of the portfolio, wanting to invest with me. So that's been happening since March because my clients have been they're making even more now. But my God, we are snowed under busy on that, which is great.
Brilliant. And you and Kev are going to be looking at doing a podcast around the financial side of things as well.
Yeah, working on that at the moment as we speak. We're thinking of doing that. I mean, we did the lockdown lowdowns, which we used to do live. But to be honest with you, it was really geared around the financial more than boxing. And it became an imposition to be doing it live on a Saturday or Sunday evening because it was always in the way. And we ended up getting all boxing questions. And people that were watching for finance then got fed up with it because they said it was taken over by boxing. So, so we're going to do a specific financial podcast totally separate. So we're working on that at the moment.
Cool. So it's all go at Goodwin, boxing, financial, everywhere.
Fully operational. We're fully operational, ready to go. Signing boxers, which we'll start revealing. New boxer meetings today. People know that we're giving it to them real and telling them as it is, and not bullshitting or telling them making false promises. And no, the future is bright. We are offloading some fighters as well as we speak, because I think that's the way things are going. But that's for different reasons. But we're making sure that our team is really, really ready to go, and we've got a really exciting team and a lot of good new fighters ready to go for the next season.
And Olivia's bringing you tea.
She's bringing me tea and a sandwich, but we'll have the tea. But we'll have the
That's all right, isn't it? That's service. Crikey.
She's a good girl, is my Olivia. It might help that we've just booked a really nice family. I said that I knew that we were coming to the end, we'd book a lovely family holiday. So we've just booked a holiday for the family to the Maldives.
Lovely.
I'm taking everybody. So I'm probably in no good books at the moment. So that's why I've got the two.
I'll get my passport ready. Don't worry about it.
You can come and join us anytime.
Right, boxing this week. There's loads of it in there. So
yeah. We're going to be joined soon by Amar Kayani. Is going to load up. So it's going to be interesting with Amar, who's really been frustrated because he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah.
And he's going to come into us while we're talking about these, and we can have a chat with Amar as well. But yeah, this week, so we're recording this Tuesday, so we've got the Ultimate Boxer thing tonight, which seems to have fallen apart a bit. I mean, I know that they've in the past, I don't know, by the time this is recorded, it will come out, they've normally taken a chance and not had reserves ready. And I understand one of them has failed a COVID test, so hopefully
Ben Riding's failed one.
Oh, well, they've got somebody in place because Vladimir Georgiev is in. So it looks like they've got somebody in. So that's great news for them. So they've got that in. So again, there's no point covering that show tonight because obviously this won't be out by the time. But tomorrow...
Well, can I give my Tuesday afternoon prediction for it all? And you're right, it would all have been wiped out by now. Zach Chelli walks that tournament.
Oh, I agree.
It's barely a tournament. I might look like a total mug by this point because... he may have been knocked out in round one by Georgia, but
in my opinion, this is like an absolute nail on certainty. It's just a mismatch. I mean, the tournament itself started off with Diego Costa, Charlie Schofield, and all of a sudden all the good ones have pulled out and they put a load of novices in. It's not actually a watchable.
No.
It's not an actual watchable tournament as it stands.
No, you've got 3 out of the 4 are replacements.
Yeah.
Amar!
Need to turn your screen.
Hold on.
There we go.
This way?
That way around.
Is that all right?
Yeah, good.
How's it going? Sorry, it took me a bit of time to get back and I wasn't too sure to do it.
How are you, Amar?
Sorry?
How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you guys?
Very well.
So we're just covering this week's show, so we'll go through these together, and then I'm sure Mike's got a lot of questions with you about what's going on. We're getting to the end of this COVID, so your career is soon to be back on track.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. Honestly, I'm so excited to box again.
We're not far off. Not far off.
So yeah, Ultimate Boxer, I realised by the time you watch this, it would have happened. For me, Zach Chelli walks that tournament. He could do it one-handed. And that's not being rude to everybody else in it, but they're all too inexperienced given where he's been so far in his career.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's not. To be honest, it's not a watch. I mean, I'm going to watch it because I've got nothing better to do on a Tuesday. But it's not a real watchable card at all tonight. It's pretty tough.
What do you reckon, Amar? You got any interest in it, Ultimate Boxer?
Do you know what? Not a lot, to be honest. I mean, I probably will watch the boxing, but haven't got a lot of interest in it tonight. No. All right, let's switch over to Wednesday night. So it's the MTK show. The interest there for yourself, Steve, is Jumani Camaro.
Yeah, he's got a very tough ask. We're going to see how good Paddy Donovan is because we know Jumani is at least at Southern area level, and I think probably at English level. He could compete well at English level. So Donovan is supposed to be a superstar. So he's obviously got to prove it, and he is a very, very good boxer. But Jumani won't lay down. I'm sure Jumani will give him a good fight, and I think it'll be an interesting fight to watch. The rest of the card, I mean, there's a couple of fights. There's a couple of fights at the top of the bill that are watchable, so it's not too bad. It's a better card than tonight's one. It's been a much more competitive card than the Ultimate Boxer one. Yeah,
I mean, the fact that Andy Lee manages Paddy, I think, he wouldn't spend his time working with anyone, would he? He's got to have something about him.
No,
but Jumani will find that out.
Yeah, he'll be tested. We'll see how good Paddy Donovan is. That'll be interesting to see.
Anyone you know, Amar, that's fighting on the MTK one?
I did have a friend boxing on the MTK show, Hassan, but I think he's not boxing anymore because his coach tested positive for COVID.
Oh.
But yeah, Hassan's a really talented boxer. I was really looking forward to watching box tonight, but unfortunately these things happen, and he'll probably be out again soon.
How much boxing do you watch, Amar? Like, outside of your own and your own training and what have you, do you try and take in everything that's shown?
Yeah, no, I watch all the major promoters. So obviously I watch all the Frank Warren shows, I watch all the Top Rank shows and Eddie Hearn shows, the Matchroom. And to be fair, I do watch every fight that's on, to be honest.
You watch more than me. You should be doing this.
Nah.
I ain't got a clue what's going on half the time.
No, yeah, I watch a fair amount.
All right, so we'll go forward to Friday night. So that's the Frank Warren show, which will have fights of interest for you, Amar, middleweight. Denzel Bentley, Mark Efron headlining it.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a cracker, man. I can't wait for that. Do you know, because first fight was such a good fight. I think this one's gonna be just as good. But I think Denzel's gonna nick this fight, man. I think he's gonna win it. I think if he scores a knockdown at any point, it's gonna go tip over to his way. But yeah, I think Denzel's gonna beat him. I think he's gonna adjust, know what to do this time, and he's just he's the fresher fighter. So I just see it going Denzel's way.
Hello people, just a quick prediction for the middleweight British title fight this weekend between Mark Efron and Denzel Bentley. Obviously the first fight was really close and ended in a draw. So this time I don't think there's going to be any stoppages. I think it's going to be Mark Efron probably by 2 rounds, something very, very small. But yeah, I expect him just take the lead and pinch an extra couple rounds. Good fight though. Maybe one for the future.
So, have you ever shared a ring with Denzel or Mark?
Well, yeah, no. So I've sparred Denzel, and I've obviously boxed Denzel too in the amateurs. Me and Denzel boxed in the nationals in the developments in 2017 or 2016. I got the win over him then, but it was a good fight. He was probably one of the best in the tournament at that time.
Yeah.
I'd love to do it again at some point. I mean, if he gets the British title, I'll do it tomorrow. But wait a little bit. I can't just jump ship. I have to respect where he's at. But yeah, man, that's a major title. If he does get it, that's probably one of the best titles in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah. Is that kind of one of your? We'll come on to your career later on, but is that one of your kind of goals? One of the reasons for turning pro?
Yeah, my goals, like I've always said, I want to win a world title, like a proper solid, like a WBC title. I mean, I want to win the British title too, and everything in between. But the British and the world title are my 2 main objectives. I'm not just here to make a bit of money and sell tickets. I want to go the whole way.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Right, so that's Friday night. What's on the undercard?
No, you missed a really interesting fight. So, Michael Ramabalaxa, Chris Bork.
Oh yeah, so Chris Bork, who's just come off the back of the Ramnez Mahmood fight.
No, he's got. I mean, Michael will exploit anybody that's not really top class. I think that's an actual really good fight, and I actually think those two fights are really good. I mean, I think when you do rematches, it's who can make the most adjustment, and I think with say the Efron fight, I think Mark Efron took Bentley too light in the first fight, but I don't think he's got the style to make the adjustments that Denzel has. I think Denzel has got a lot more to come, so I actually favour Denzel. I totally agree with Amar. And the Michael Rambalazzi Chris Bork fight is a good fight because it will tell us where Chris Bork is at. Because if you're not good enough, Michael's going to beat you. But so I think that's a really interesting fight. So don't discount that as a fight.
Is that for the English?
It's for the WBC International. So
right, it's a made-up belt. Okay. No, I love the Efron Bentley fight. I think I'm with you. I think Bentley. I think he was probably quite fearful in that first fight of the stories of the power of Efron. Was maybe a little bit cautious about getting in there and taking the shots. But I think once he'd felt the shots and realised that he wasn't as susceptible as what he probably feared he might be, I thought he made the adjustments and was able to deal with it. And I think knowing what he knows now from the first one, I think he takes this.
I agree. But it's good. Those two fights are worth watching. Definitely.
Brilliant.
The rest
Brilliant.
of the card, the Tommy Fury, they don't want to put him in with anybody with a pulse. They're trying to protect the cash cow. So I don't think we know how good Tommy Fury is yet, because they just don't want to put him in. You know, we did ask for. I did offer Darryl Church for Tommy Fury. Now Darryl he's got an okay record, but they didn't want to know. So
Right.
and you would have thought Tommy in his fourth fight would be prepared to take on Darryl, but they don't. So they must be looking for somebody, because Darryl hasn't won an area title yet. So I mean, Darryl was well up for that fight. But yeah, they didn't want Darryl, so I presume they haven't announced the opponent, so I presume it is somebody with no record whatsoever.
We know what we're getting at that point.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Saturday night, Sky Sports. So it's the
really good card. That I'm really looking forward to it. Really good card.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you why I think it's a good card. Do you
Go for it. Go for it. Sell it to me.
I'm going to sell it to you. Okay. Rachel Ball is as long we're not going to distinguish or female boxing against male boxing. We're going to talk about fights that are competitive and bring something. Now, the Rachel Ball fight is a real 50-50 fight now. The previous fight against Ebony Bridges would have been shite. But this fight is a real fight. I mean, the opponent has mixed at a good level. I don't think you can call that fight. And I think both results are possible. So I think that's a really good fight because it's competitive. I think John Doherty against Jack Cullen is a great fight.
That's a good fight. I like that.
Because Cullen, although it's a shame for Cullen, because of his ticket selling prowess, Eddie Hearn would have built something around him in his hometown. But because we've had COVID, he's sort of being used as a gatekeeper now. Just to step in and fight. So they're not promoting him, just using him as the opponent because he tries. So I
think John Doherty was getting caught far too easily by Anthony Fox in that fight camp fight. I think he was getting pinged all over the shop for a couple of rounds.
And if Cullen hits him like that, he could be in trouble. So
I agree.
I think that's a great fight, and credit for both of them for taking it. So I think what you've got to talk about here, we have two fights that are really watchable fights, and you can't. This isn't a pay-per-view, right? So we're talking about a normal Sky card, and we'll come on to the other two in a minute. But two fights that are really watchable. The rest of it, you've got this Thomas Whitaker Hart against Jermaine Springer, probably one-sided. But the other two fights, I don't think are particularly competitive, but they're watchable. Katie Taylor fighting Miriam Gutierrez. Now, I've watched Miriam Gutierrez, so I went to Spain when Sam Smith fought her. Obviously, when Sam rocked her badly in the second round, and that to me is a one-sided beatdown. Katie Taylor will absolutely walk through her. Gutierrez, I don't think Gutierrez would have beaten Sam Smith in the UK. Let me just leave, and I'm going to leave it there. She would not have beaten Sam Smith in the UK. Sam Smith would have beaten her in the UK.
If there were certain protocols, Sam Smith would have won.
I believe Sam would have beaten her in the UK. I'm just going to say that. And as it was, she rocked her in the second. Then she did lose on points, but Sam was towards the end of her career then. Sam Smith 2 years before that, or a year before that, I think she might have still beaten her in Spain. She's protected. She's a golden girl in Spain. Protected. It's all about her. And she now gets a lesson from Katie Taylor on Saturday.
Hi Steve, hi Martin, hope you're both well. So obviously gyms are closed, so I'm in my back garden. I have to be in the back garden because of the twins. I don't get 1 second's peace, as Steve knows. So this is my thoughts on the Katie Taylor and Miriam fight. Obviously I've shared a ring with Miriam, so I know what she's capable of. For me, it's not an exciting fight. I don't find it exciting. You know, Miriam's mentally strong. Unfortunately, she suffered domestic violence quite badly, and she's used it in a positive way for her boxing. So she's mentally tough. She'll go into the fight, being able to take the pressure. But other than that, I can't see what else she's gonna bring to bother Katie Taylor. For me, she doesn't have the power to stop Katie coming forward, and once Miriam gets her, as we know, she's on the back foot and she just moves. To be fair, her in a corner can adapt quickly. When she's hurt, she's smart, she moves, but I think Katie stops her anywhere between 5 and 7. I think when she starts to go to work, she'll stop her. But good luck to them all, especially Terry.
The other fight between Harper and Flanders, I actually think, and I think Harper's around about 2 to 5 on Betfair. That isn't a bad bet, you know, because Flanders isn't that good. She's 13-0, and she's beaten hardly anybody with a positive record. And the ones she has beaten have got manufactured records. I think she's totally and utterly overrated. Rachel Ball got a draw on one of the cards in an away fight. So you could argue that Rachel lost but got a draw. That was very close. And I don't think, with all due respect to Rachel, and I really like her, she's a lovely person, I don't think you would say that she's got much of a chance against Terry Harper. And in reality, I mean, beating Sharon Courtney or whatever that was is totally different than real. When I talk proper world level, I'm talking proper world level. So, you know, and you've got to remember that Harper and Jonas were close. Jonas was a really good amateur. This girl isn't that good. So I think Harper wins that. But I still think it's an interesting fight. So for me, I've got 2 fights that are 50-50. I'm really interested to watch the Taylor Gutierrez fight. And I think the Harper Flanders fight will be interesting. And I might even have a financial investment in that fight. I haven't decided yet. See if it lengthens anymore. So I actually think it's not a bad card. There you go. That's Margaret. Are you sold? No.
I'll tell you what, right? You know Sky will sell you anything. Pay-per-view football, non-world title fights as pay-per-view. They will sell you anything for an additional £1. They're giving this show away on Saturday night. They're giving it away on YouTube, on their Facebook. They've announced it this afternoon. It's going free on all of their platforms.
Really?
So there's your answer. It's not...
Well,
Sky do not give stuff away for free.
They're telling you they're not going to. They don't believe they're going to get the viewing figures. That's what it's telling you. But that's because. But that's probably because maybe female boxing hasn't got the watchability factor.
But Eddie told me Katie Taylor's the biggest superstar in the world of boxing outside of like Joshua and Canelo. You know, she was a.
But you know that's bullshit. She's not, and I don't, and you know, and I know, she's had some very dubious decisions that have kept. She's not really an undefeated fighter, in my opinion. I think boxing fans know that she's heavily protected. So, yeah, but I actually think it's an interesting card. I love women's boxing, so I'm also into that because we've got some females that we've signed and are signing that I think are going to really break through in female boxing. So to me, it's something that I feel that I find of great interest. So it's great for me. But I think the card's a lot of it. For me, it's interesting. But I think actually, if you look at it, the fights, a couple of the fights on the Warren show and the Saturday night show, there's some really good 50-50 fights out there at the weekend. So yeah. Fantastic. And that's what we all want, isn't it? That's what we all want.
I do like Cullen Dockett. I think that's a brilliant fight.
Oh, so me too.
But yeah, I mean, if you haven't got Sky, you get to watch it this weekend. Check out their other platforms, and you'll get it for free. So, who are you fancying out of any of that, Amar?
When it comes to women's boxing, I don't watch a lot of it, but I think Katie Taylor and Miriam fight is going to be a good fight because obviously they're both undefeated fighters. I don't follow it a lot. I know who Katie Taylor is and Shannon Courtney and all of that, but I don't really follow a lot of it. So I haven't seen enough of the other girls to decide how well Katie Taylor's going to do in the contest.
Here's a question, right, from Boxing Rob on Twitter. Is it possible to create a talent pool domestically in women's boxing by allowing eliminator and opportunities to fight for regional, i.e. Southern area, English, British, European, also allowing 3-minute rounds? If we want women's boxing to be equal, let's allow equal opportunities. Can I just start this off by saying, as far as I'm aware, there are 35 professional female boxers in the UK. throughout every weight division, there's 35. How can you have a fucking eliminator when you've only got 35 from heavyweight to flyweight?
You know, Robbie's very close with my favourite female boxer, my favourite televised female boxer. So that's probably why he's saying that from a biased view.
I know he's close with Ellie.
Yeah.
I know he's close with Ellie. My point is, there's only 35. Like, you'd have to have. If you had 35 in one weight division, then you could start to put in eliminators. But given that you've only got, what, say, 3 bantamweights, I think, something like that, a few welters.
When you consider, I mean, let's be realistic about this, that Rachel Ball has beaten Shannon Courtney, and she's had 7 fights, and she's now fighting for the WBA world title. It shows you how weak the pool is, right? And how does beating Shannon Courtney get you a shot? And bet Connolly on points the time before. Look, I wish Rachel the best. So I want her to be the world champion. I want her to win. I think she's a lovely person. She deserves it. And I hope she makes a lot of money off the sport. But if that's what you're pushing as world title level, you can't have a Southern area, because what would you do? You'd turn over and fight for Southern area in your first fight, wouldn't you? And the British title won in fight number 3. And I know Robert Smith believes that by giving British titles when the talent pool is so little, that you would be devaluing the status of a British title fight. And that's Robert Smith and the board's viewpoint. And I understand that. I understand why girls want to fight for the British title, but it has to mean something.
Yeah, I don't agree with Robert on everything, but I agree with him on that. I'd say when you've only got 35 across all weight divisions, my suggestion would always be to pack it up the weight divisions. So you go from, I don't know, say bantam through to super feather just becomes 1. And lightweight through to light middleweight becomes 1. And middleweight through to, just so that if you've only got those smaller numbers, you just do it that way.
I mean, I've signed a female boxer who's not got the perfect career, but I think I can get her a world title shot, and that's my job. And I want to take a female boxer who is coming from the small hall scene and develop them into world champions, and I believe you can do that. So I'm quite happy leaving the divisions, more divisions, because it gives me more opportunities for my fighters to go more titles. That's for me. I want to exploit this with the females that I have. I love women boxing, and I think I can take females. I believe I can take plenty of females to world titles on the management scale. So long may it continue.
But I reckon the other thing, if they're proper serious about women's boxing, is, I don't know, Hearn, Warren, although Warren I don't think really cares about women's boxing, is pay all those women that are currently in the GB setup just to turn over. Take your Sandy Ryans out, and there's loads of talent in that GB setup. Pay them, turn them over pro, and boost the numbers that are in the divisions.
The problem the women have got is there's not enough money. So when they leave the GB, they're better off financially staying in the GB setup.
Yeah,
that's the problem. So it makes no financial sense unless you were Nicola Adams or some of the top ones to do it. Unless you're going to really be elite world level, it doesn't make a lot of sense for a lot of them to do it. However, it depends on whether they believe they can be that elite world level. But then to do that, the female needs good management, supreme talent, and needs to be able to earn money. I mean, I know what some of the purses have been. They're not enough. I think Terry Harper's done all right, to be fair to her, and I'm so delighted to see what she's doing, because she's a lovely person. She's come from the heart. She's come and done it the hard way. It's not been silver spoon fed. But for a lot of those that are already on paid salaries, it's going to be difficult for them to accept the lower pay they're going to get from the pro game.
And with Terry Harper, she's done it from the small hall upwards, but she's stuck with that same Steffi Ball setup throughout. So I admire that.
You know what? A lot of people could take a good lesson from that, because you stay with Steph. Steffi's done a great job. People that, if she had left Steffi and gone and listened to the bullshit, I'm sure she was told, a lot of people came in and bullshitted her and told her that she should leave Steffi and all that sort of nonsense. And if she listens to the bullshitters and the chancers, she wouldn't be where she is today. It's because of that with Steffi that she's been able to get where she is today. And both of them deserve all the success in the world. And I hope other boxers out there, female and male, take heed from how it should be done.
Agree. You ever sparred a woman, Amar?
A woman?
Yeah, have you ever sparred one?
No, I've never sparred one. I mean, there's a really good woman boxer that trains with us. Her name's Raven Chapman. She trains with me and Stuart, my boxing coach. She's really good. I think if you put in for a world title fight tomorrow, she'd probably win it.
Yeah.
Considering
She's
not many.
She's exceptional. I know about her. She's really good. Raven is
She's really good. Yeah.
Really good.
But I've never actually. I don't think I've ever sparred a woman. We're not full contact.
The reason Amar doesn't spar on Martin is he knows he'll get beat up and he'll be embarrassed.
Yeah, they might outbox me, so I just can't.
I remember chatting with, I think it was Paulie Upton, might have been Sonny Upton, one of them, saying about when they sparred Katie Taylor over in the Islands setup, said she was ferocious. And I think because she was sparring men, she would put that extra 10% into what she was doing to prove her worthiness. They said you dread the days you knew you had to go in and spar Katie, because she was just a handful. Right, so let's go on and talk about yourself, Amar. Let's talk about lockdown, how it's affected you, where you're at, your career today. There's so much that feeds into a professional boxer right now. So much that Steve's left us. So let's talk it through. For those that don't know you, you're a 2-0 middleweight.
Yeah, super welter, light middle. Yeah.
Okay. And give us a bit of the background of your kind of boxing careers. You mentioned there about the fights back in 2016 with Denzel Bentley. For those that don't know your kind of background, can you fill them in?
Yeah, so I started boxing a bit later than like the usual person. So I started boxing about the age of 14. I had my first fight when I was 15. Then about when I was 17, I turned into a senior boxer because back then the rules were a bit different. So as soon as you turn 17, you start boxing fully grown adults. So if 27, 28, it didn't matter. So when I was 17, I turned senior. And then I entered the championships. I think I was 20. Got to the finals the first time around. The second time I won the championships. Or the second time when I beat Denzel. I entered the ABAs. I got the home counties title in the ABAs. And then I got to the quarters and my eye got cut. And obviously when your eye gets cut in the amateurs, the fight's pretty much. But yeah, my amateur boxing pedigree wasn't too bad, considering that I only had a small amount of time to box. I think I had about 35 fights. I only lost a handful. So, and the fights that I lost, like, you know how amateur boxing is, you could just flip a coin and pick a winner.
Yeah.
So yeah, they weren't like beatdowns, but I beat some good opponents in the amateurs. Hopefully, like I've always, like I know a lot of people say like they've got more of a pro style, but I genuinely think I've got a style that's more suited to the pros. I like to slow it down a little bit, throwing the awkward angle shots, the big power shots. So hopefully my pro career goes the whole way.
So yeah, you talked earlier about kind of the ultimate ambition being a WBC title. Obviously, there's a long way to go to that. So let's talk about where you're at now and what the kind of incrementally how you'd get to that WBC title. So you're 2-0, one stoppage. So how have you found those two professional fights against how it was as an amateur?
Yeah, like professional boxing, there's just so much. I'm so much more suited to it. I love everything about it. I love the crowd being there. I love the tension you feel. Obviously, the first fight I had, my debut, I was a bit nervous. It's like being born over again. It's like having your first amateur fight again. So the first one was a bit nervous, but the second I was in my element. I was comfortable. But I'm really looking forward to the next fight and the fight after that. And I think now the ball's rolling. Now I'm confident again. I think we'll see more stoppages and better fights, hopefully.
So, as you say, your ball was rolling. You were going, and then the world stopped. So, how's that affected you, like mentally, physically, confidence-wise? Has it taken a hit anywhere on you?
Nah, you know what? Honestly, it hasn't really taken a hit. The only thing I was a bit disappointed about is not fighting, but we're going to fight next year and make up for the times we missed this year. So even if you have to put more fights like in a smaller period of time, I'll just do that. So I'll fight more often now. So ultimately, it hasn't made much of a difference because I'm still training every day. still sparring quite often. I think we're going up to Adam Booth's gym on Wednesday, so we're going to get some sparring down there. So we're still sparring and working every day, pretty much. It's just like a pre-camp, you know, before you actually start fight camp. So it's just a pre-camp.
So I'm assuming that you've kept relatively in kind of fight condition, fight weight throughout.
Yeah, for the first time in my boxing career, I actually have. Normally, when I was an amateur, I'd be like I fight at 75 and then blow up to 85, 86, 87. I've even gone to 90 before. But this time, because obviously Stuart's slapping me on my wrist a little bit, and he's making me keep the weight low. Because you never know when someone's gonna say, "Oh, you've got a fight coming up." Even though everything's a bit crazy right now, you never know. So I'm keeping my weight much lower now. So if my next fight's at 69, I'm in like the mid 70s now. So no problem to lose about 4 kilos or so.
Okay, I was gonna say, have you been one of the ones that's harassing Steve about finding you an opportunity? You know, while the TV shows are on.
Do you know what? I'd hate to say it, but I think I have texted him a few times saying, "Oh, get me." I think I have texted him a few times saying, "Oh, behind closed doors and whatnot." But we've gone through a few things, and I think we've got something quite positive lined up for early next year.
Okay, so you're not someone who's desperate to get in there, even if it's the wrong fight. You're willing to wait for the right opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, unless it was a really good opportunity, and Steve said to me tomorrow, "I've got your British title fight. You've got like 2 months training camp." I could never say no to that. I'd take that in a heartbeat. But if it's just another step up, I mean, I'm happy to wait. I don't want to rush my career and just end up taking a wrong turn and just going a long way around.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing about you and your career is that I know you sell big numbers of tickets. So, are you nervous about when boxing does come back? You know, Steve kind of is a bit of an expert upon the vaccine and the kind of time scales and the people that'll get it, etc., etc. Are you nervous that it's going to have an impact upon your ticket sales when we go back to boxing?
Personally, I don't think so. Because, you know, me and all the people from the area, we're not really strong believers in COVID-19, if you know what I mean. We're not really scared of it. I mean, a lot of the people down there, you see them living day-to-day life like nothing's happened. I'm not too sure about people outside of Slough, but in Slough, it's been normal living for us here. So as soon as boxing starts again, I'm pretty sure we'll probably get more people this time because everyone's had done nothing for so long. They've been to no live sports events.
Desperate to get out and do something.
No, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. I think, you know, it's a mindset thing between ages almost. You know, like if you've got lots of mates your age, they're probably not that arsed about getting it. So yeah, I think you'll be fine with it by all accounts. Yeah. What are you looking forward to most? What's the one thing that, like, when boxing gets back, what's the one thing that you can't wait for outside of just fighting? What have you realised that you miss out of it?
Outside of fighting, I don't think I have that much of a life, to be honest. Like, if I'm not training, going to the gym or boxing, I'm not really doing anything else because I don't really party or nothing. Because I try to keep a clean lifestyle just in case, not just for boxing, but just in general. You always want that one. You want the advantage of everyone else. Like, I've never drank or smoked because I don't want to be weaker than the next man, just in case. Because I know it affects your stamina and your cardio and your lungs. So I live quite a good lifestyle anyway. So I'm not missing the partying or any of that stuff because I don't party or anything anyways. For me, life's going on as normal. Everything's written for me because, I don't know if I mentioned it before, I'm quite religious. So what's written is written. When I'm supposed to fight, I'm going to fight. And so I'm just cool with the way everything's going. It's no skin off my back. I'm actually enjoying a bit of time off, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. You leave the drinking, the smoking, the partying to me. I'll do all that for you. You look after yourself.
For sure. I've got nothing against that. I just personally don't do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you said about you and Stuart. So give people some idea about you and Stuart and the setup you've got there.
Yeah, so me and Stuart, we've been together for the longer I started boxing now. So when I started boxing, I had my first fight, I think 15 or 16. He's been my coach. And now, obviously, 15 years later, or 10 years later, 10 years later, he's still my coach. Yeah, man, he's from the same area as me, pretty much. We're pretty much same upbringing. We've been through the same trials and tribulations. You know, you get into trouble here and there. But yeah, he's a good guy. I can turn to him for advice. He's like an older brother to me. So yeah. industry, and I think we're going to go the whole way.
And what's this man like to manage, Steve?
Easy. No, because he's good as gold. Look, he fights. He's ready, always ready to fight. He's a really nice guy, pleasure to deal with. He knows. He understands the business. He's developing his support base as well as developing his career. He's got everything. He's got the talent. He's got the marketing. People love him, and he's a future star of boxing. And it's going to be a pleasure to be part of the journey. And
he's probably the most full head of hair I've seen in a long time.
Right? Yeah, that's the only thing he needs to give me some.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking you got the Kyani camp logo on there? So a lot of the work that you do around Slough with the youngsters. Mm-hmm. Can you give people an idea about some of that you do?
Yeah, so Kyani camp, initially this started in 2016. I don't know if I've told you guys before, but me growing up, I was a really, really bad kid. I used to get into loads of problems, loads of knife crime. I used to get into fights. A weekend out for me, a lot of people go clubbing. A weekend out for me was finding someone to have a fight with. So if I saw someone around the corner that was looking at me a bit weird at the bus stop, we just confront them and say, "What's up?" And then you'd end up fighting as you do. Well, not as you do, but as I did when I was a kid. So I was a really, really bad kid. And then as I grew older, I kind of matured a bit, and now a lot of the kids in the area is coming up because Slough's quite a rough area. There's quite a high knife crime rate. Now I'll guide them a little bit, and they can call me or contact me. I initially started Kyani camp just for the really, really bad kids, because I had a lot of kids that were involved in knife crime saying, "Oh, teach me to box. I want to get off the street." So we used to just literally I used to get them all in my back garden. It used to be like 13, 14 kids, and I used to take them on pads. I used to make them spar each other. Then I used to send them home. And now them kids, they're getting older, and now they must be in their late teens and 20s. And now there's a new generation of kids coming up. And now hopefully, beginning of next year, Kyani camp should be a full amateur licensed boxing club. We've been working on it for a while now, but now we find a good premises. And hopefully when we do turn into a full amateur boxing license, when we turn into a full boxing club, it'll be a lot easier to get more people in.
Oh, awesome. So have you started to see the benefits of those kids, as you say, the ones that have started to grow up and grow through? Have you given them another pathway that isn't the one that you had when you were growing up?
Yeah, 100%, because I grew up in the same place as them. In Slough, it's kind of like the eat or be eaten. If you want to be respected, you have to know how to fight a little bit, or you have to have money. It's like there's no in between. You have to know how to fight, or you need to be respected in some way. And me, like me and my brothers, we were all just proper. We just wanted to be respected, and I had the wrong mentality. And now one of these kids can call me like 12 at night, 1 in the morning, and I can like speak to them and guide them and help them a little bit. Yeah, I think hopefully we're going to do a bit more when COVID's over with the kids. But even for what I did before, we used to just rent a hall twice a week and used to get 50 kids show up a week. Literally 50 in one session in a small hall. We used to have a packed out hall. The kids used to be full of it. We used to teach them to box. We used to speak to them after. And then they knew they know they can always call me if they ever have an issue or talk about it.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well done. Well done.
No, thank you.
Cool. Well, I think we've probably run out of time a little bit. Steve, is there anything you want to add on about Amar and his career and where he's going and his relationship with Stu?
Listen, they're both great people. Stuart started out a brilliant amateur trainer, now starting off on the pro. I'm sure that together we're going to create that Amar will be the first of many, many champions coming from that gym, for sure. So I'm delighted to be a part of it.
And before we cut it off, Amar, are there any sponsors you want to give a mention to?
I do. One in particular, the STX Tuning, really, really good tuning company. They've been supporting me since the end of my amateur career, the beginning of my pro career. They've been with me thick and thin, even through COVID, when a lot of businesses, they weren't getting much business, they were still helping me. But yeah, they're one of my main sponsors I want to shout out. I also want to shout out our hairdressers and, of course, Kyani Camp. They're the 3 main sponsors.
Are they the lot that did your hair?
You know what, today I got, I don't want to answer that because I got it from someone else today.
I need to get a copy. I need to borrow some, patch it up around there.
No, still, you've got a good couple of years, man. You're good.
Yeah, just about. It looks like the ascent of man, like yours, then mine, and Steve. missing out on all of it. He's going to be going cold this winter.
No. So old anyways.
Right, gentlemen, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much, Amar, for joining us. Can't wait to see you box again next year, man. Stay fit, stay well, stay healthy. And yeah, all being well, we'll see you hopefully May time-ish out of York Hall.
Hopefully. Thank you so much for having me on, and look forward to it.
Okay.
Pleasure.